Hey everyone, Dr. Toni here. Hope you guys are doing awesome today. So I got the message this week, which I'm sure many of you did as well, that our kiddos are going to be home a little bit longer. At this point, it will be at the very least all of April and some of May. So obviously we're playing it by ear. We're going to see how that goes. But what that means is it's even more important if you haven't created some kind of behavioral support for your kiddos and some kind of schedule. It's just so much more important to do that now for your sanity and for theirs, okay? So some structure and some support for them, but also some structure and some support for you. So I'm a former behavioral consultant, and I am also a clinical social worker. I've done school social work. I've consulted on numerous behavioral support teams and IEP teams and things like that. And I also, of course, am a mom. I have three, currently almost 11, almost 7, and almost 3, which is pretty crazy for me to say. So I have done my fair share of behavioral charts. Even with my own kiddos, I've done my own fair share of behavioral charts because of some of the challenges that they have been managing throughout their life. And it's always been super helpful. In fact, I can tell you, even just from personal experience, if I were to put aside my professional experience for a moment, I can always tell the difference in my kids' behavior and in my own management of my own stress and anxieties when my kids are on a behavior chart as opposed to when they're off. So it does make a difference. If you don't have this and you feel like you're going to pull your hair out, I really do recommend that you take some time to just digest what I share with you. Certainly not to copy it, because your own child is unique. Your child's going to have their own unique strengths, their own unique challenges, and you need to cater it to fit them and also to fit for you. Okay, so do what works for you. But what I wanted to share here is some of what I have done over the years. I have been in my field in the helping services professions and human behavior and human psychology fields for over a decade. So I want to just offer you some support here, no strings attached. I'm going to move this a little bit so you can see the wall a little bit better. Hopefully that's good. And what I'm going to do is, I've already done a video on schedules. It was very brief. So that's what you see here, and I'm not going to go over that today, but if you don't have one, check out my other video. Again, it is very brief, so if you have questions and you want me to dive deeper on anything, just put that in the comments, let me know, because then I'm able to better respond and support you with the specific questions you have, and I'll create a new video for it. But that's what that is here. So what I'm gonna do is I pulled out of my stock some of the behavior charts I've done over the years with my kiddos, and I'm gonna go in age order. So from when my daughter, who's currently my oldest, she's almost 11, from when she was little, only a few years old. She was a toddler when she started with her first behavior chart. And I'm going to show you that one first, and then I will kind of show you how I worked up. And that way you can pick out the pieces that feel good to you, that make sense to you. And if you do have questions about anything I say here, please do leave questions or comments below. I will respond to those questions or comments, and or if enough people have them, I will create another video to answer them, okay? All right, oh, where's my tea? If you guys haven't tried this, I'll have to get it and show it to you. I hope I don't forget. This chai tea, it's a caffeine-free chai tea, but it is delicious. It is so good. So good, okay. If I remember, I'm gonna show you what brand I got. Okay, so here is her first one. She was only if I'm remembering correctly, she was probably around 3-ish, somewhere between 3 and 5 when we started with this chart. And obviously the younger they are, the less they are going to understand the more tangible, concrete parts of it. That makes total sense. That's why these charts are all a bit different, because you want to go what's based not just on your child's own skills and strengths and areas of challenge, but also on their developmental age, of course, right? So you can see, this is the morning time. So that's what this top part is. This is the AM, and this is the PM. So we got Sleepy Mickey over here, okay? And so what I focused on here with her was actually specifically rewarding positive behaviors that I was seeing. So things I wanted her to do more of. So instead of targeting behaviors I wanted to eliminate on this chart, because of her age, what I wanted to do was reward, kind of get her amped up and excited and connected with, positively and meaningfully connected with the behaviors I wanted her to continue to demonstrate. So if she made a good choice with a toy by sharing, I say, oh, Jaden, such a good job. Let's go put a sticker on your chart. And so I use Velcro. This one is so old that I don't even think I have the pieces that I used to stick on it. But what I would use is like these Velcro, you can't see it, there you go. These Velcro pieces, so there used to be the adhesive under here. So then she would be able to put it on, and however many she got, so for that particular day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we did it each day. However many she got for that particular day in the morning and that particular day in the evening would be the number that we would be putting down here for that day. So then so right here, like right when I'm saying, here you go, like you did an awesome job, let's do this. This in and of itself is an immediate reward, right? It's an immediate reward, and that's what gives that positive reinforcement, that like, oh, I got good things out of that behavior. Like I should do more of that, right? So that's why you want to do it as close to the behavior as you possibly can. Try not to wait. Obviously, if you were out and about at the grocery store or something, then that's different. But because we're all mostly home and we're not taking our kids out to the grocery store due to the pandemic, that's not something that you have to worry about, right? So it's really quick and easy to be like, yeah, and like cheer it up, right? Think back to potty training. You got to like sing your potty dance, right? And all that stuff. Do your potty dance and sing your potty song. I'm doing that too with my almost 3-year-old. You want to cheer it up for the younger ones, okay? Get them excited about it so they know, like, this is a good behavior. I want to keep doing this. This is a good choice. I like this. This is a good response, right? Like, get them eating that up, because that's positive reinforcement that makes them want to keep doing it, and they're getting positive attention. So it doesn't matter to kids all the time if it's a positive or negative attention. I don't even really like the words positive and negative, to be honest, but we're going to go with it for now, for simplicity's sake. And what they need is attention. Like, and by attention, what I mean is connection. They're craving connection because it's a basic human need, okay? They need that connection. They need that bond. They need that sense of security, okay? So this response matters. All right, so if you have a younger one, I would encourage you to not go, you're going to see how my other ones are a bit more complex. Don't get too complex, okay? In fact, if you know, think about your child and where they tend to struggle the most. If they tend to struggle the most in the morning, maybe you only do morning. If they tend to struggle the most in the middle of the day, maybe you only do the middle of the day, right? Or maybe you do morning and evening, right? And you squeeze afternoon and whichever one makes sense for you guys. But you're focusing more, you're paying attention more to call out the positives of the part of the day where they struggle the most. So if mornings are the hardest, you can still do both. In fact, I would encourage you to still do both, but focus heavier on the area where they have the hardest time. So if mornings are the hardest, make sure that you are giving a lot of attention to the morning and say, oh my gosh, look at this. You did this, right? Like amp it up, because now you're helping them to connect this behavior at this time of day with this reaction. You're helping them to, they're not consciously, right? They don't know that they're making those connections, but they are. Their brain is making those connections because that reaction from you helps them to feel this internal sense of connection and bond and security, okay? So the brain likes that, eats it up. All right. So that's what you want to make sure that you're trying to focus on. So at a younger age or a younger developmental stage, you know your child best, okay? So I'm not going to tell you a specific age, because I will tell you that my middle one, who's almost 7, he'll be 7 next week, this would be too simple for him. Even at the age of like 5 or 6, was a little bit too simple for him. And that's just where he was at in his developmental stage. But I believe I used this with my oldest when she was between 3 and 5, around there. And it worked really well for her. Okay, so this simplicity was really good for her. So you have to read your child. You do have to be a bit of a detective and put on your detective hat to see what works best for them, but also what's practical for you. If this feels like too much for you or too little for you, then you need to take that into consideration too, because you're the one that's doing the reinforcement. If you're not doing the reinforcement, it's not going to be effective. If you create this and you amp them up and you include them in the creation of it and you let them help you draw or color or pick out the pictures, like I let my kids pick out pictures whenever I create anything. They helped me pick out these pictures for the schedule. Get them involved, okay? So you want to do that so that they get excited. But if you get them excited and then you don't follow through with it, their excitement's going to start to dwindle, and they're not going to make the connection with this that you need them to make in order to help them manage their behaviors and make good choices. Okay? So what we did here was focus on, you know, the positives, the behavior I want to keep seeing repeated, would give the reward. This is the automatic reward. And then at the end of the day, when you add up the sum, you put the number here, or tally or stars or whatever, maybe your kiddos into stars. So you're putting, you know, 7 stars. If they've gotten 7, there's a piece of paper that has 7 stars on it. So maybe they help count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I got 7. I'm going to pick out 7 stars. I'm going to put it right here. Use the Velcro so that you can keep repeating this. I highly recommend to use the Velcro. So I got 7 stars, right? So for the younger kids, again, immediate gratification, immediate response is going to be the most helpful, only because their attention spans are shorter, right? So you would want them to have an understanding of, if they get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if they get 10, they can maybe pick a reward from this star. And if they get 6, they can pick a reward for this star. And you would give a little bit of a range, or you would have to get creative about what is appropriate for the number, the expected number that you would like your child to get. And that would be how they would get the bigger reward at the end of the day. And when I talk about big rewards, I mean, for these youngsters, a big reward honestly can be a sticker, whatever gets them excited. You do not need to spend a ton. I have never spent a ton on rewards, and I've been doing reward systems off and on with my kids for almost, I don't know, maybe 8 years, something like that. 8 or 9 years. Okay, so you definitely don't need to go on Amazon and spend $1,000 to fill up this like reinforcement box. Okay, you don't need to do that. Oftentimes, most of the time, I went to the dollar store. And if you go to the dollar store now, I don't believe dollar stores are open right now. So you would have to probably go on Amazon and look for something cheap. But I believe you could, I don't even know if you can order from the dollar store online right now. Get creative though. You can oftentimes just look around your house. I know for me, if I look around my house and look in like our arts and crafts stuff or drawers that the kids don't look in anymore, there's so much stuff in there that if I amp it up, they're going to get excited about because they forgot it was even there. And you can cut things smaller, or if there is several things in one container, you open the container and you separate them out. And now instead of one container that would have been a reward, you have 5 pieces that you pulled out of it that each can be separate rewards. Okay, so you really do have to get creative here. You do not need to spend a ton. You do not. In fact, it doesn't even have to be something physical. It could be something that they enjoy doing with you that they don't often get to do with you, like bake cookies, right? If you get 8 or more today, like we can bake cookies. I know you love chocolate chip cookies, right? Like, amp it up, okay? Get creative. It doesn't even have to be something physical. Maybe it's 10 more minutes on the video games or whatever, right? Find what works for you and your kiddos, and that's what you're going to use. I can't tell you what's going to work for you and your kids because I don't know your kids. All right, so that's for this. And then I'm going to go to this next one, which this is the one I started my middle one on when he started. I didn't do this one with him. I started him at this one. Hopefully it stays. And that's fine. I actually reused. You can see I covered the top up because I had made this one for my oldest when this was probably between 5 and 6, around there. The age of 5 and 6. I used this for her, and then I put my son's name over it, my middle one, so I could use it for him as he got older. And he actually used it before the age of 6, so maybe even before the age of 5, if I remember. Sorry, I can't give you the specific ages based on my mama memory right now. Okay, so this one's a little bit more complex. Can you see? I might need to move this closer because you might not be able to see, which is okay. We can improvise. I just want to make sure that you can see what I'm talking about as I'm talking about it. Okay. Bad light? I'll move it closer after I explain it to you. Okay? Okay. So I still have the AM. I still have the PM. You'll see that I include Spanish on most of my charts because I try to teach my kids both languages, and no, I'm not Spanish. I did study Spanish for years and did study abroad in Mexico, which was cool. Okay, so I hear the 2.5-year-old, almost 3. So what you're going to see here is a little bit more complexity, and you'll even see complexity in these pieces that are put up. And at this age, even at that age, they can put them on. You don't need to always be the one that puts these pieces on here. They can put them on, and in fact, it's really exciting. He used to get so excited when he got to put it on. He didn't do this anymore. Kind of graduated out of this, but so I just go online, look up clip art. So he didn't help me make this because this was made before him, but you can see getting dressed sometimes is a slow process in the morning. This was an important one for the nighttime because getting dressed at nighttime could also be slow, right? And so if they do it the first time or second time, depending on, again, developmental age and stage, this is nighttime, right? Then they get their PJ sticker, right? And again, this is immediate response, as close to immediate as you can. You can get away with a little bit more time passing between the act and the response as they get older, but really as close as you can get in your response to their behavior, the better. So even if it's like, oh my gosh, you just did an excellent job. If waking up in the morning is really hard, hyper focus on that. Oh my gosh, you just did an excellent job. I only had to ask you 2 times. I usually have to ask you 10 times. Like, that's awesome. Make sure that we put this on here because blah, 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 right? Like, you could say it out loud as a reminder for you and for them, even if in the moment you're like in the middle of changing the baby's diaper and you can't put it on at that second, right? Like, verbally acknowledging, and then you guys can go put it on, or your child can go put it on, okay? All right, so the more complex piece of this one is that I added in poor choices. And it's kind of like a 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes, you're out kind of deal. And so conversations definitely have to happen if they get to the red, right? I mean, conversations are happening if they get to the yellow. But for sure, more in-depth conversations that are age-appropriate need to happen if they get to the red, and should be happening before they ever get there, because once they're approaching yellow, you want to talk to them about that, okay? Now, it's going to be up to you what behavior constitutes that, okay? So you can make it a number if they get, let's see if I can remember this, brush teeth, get dressed, eat breakfast. Order doesn't matter so much in my house. If it does in yours, that's cool. That's fine. I have 2 breakfast ones. Oh, is that lunch? No, that's breakfast. I have 2 different breakfast ones. Look at that. Looking for other ones. Oh, good job. So if they did something kind for someone else without being asked. And another good job. So they helped someone, or they did something kind that you want to call out, okay? So if they fill these up, or maybe they get to 5, like this one, that's definitely a green light day, right? But maybe they don't. Maybe they only get 2 done, and the expectation is they get 5 to 6. And you had to talk to them over and over again, and hence that's why they didn't earn these, right? If you have to repeat it over and over and over again, this is not earned. Your choice, but that's what I do, okay? And this is a yellow. Right now, say they even get 3, but they make a really poor choice. So you've had to repeat directions to them over and over and over again, and you're still trying to amp up the positive behaviors, but something that is completely inappropriate that they are aware of happens in addition to needing to repeat it yourself over and over and over again. That may be a merit for red, but I don't recommend jumping straight from green to red, okay? There needs to be a natural progression so they are aware, oh, you're approaching yellow, so they can think in their head like, okay, I can redeem myself. If I do this or this moving forward, I can either stay at green or I'm working towards the yellow, right? Otherwise, if it catches them off guard, it can be really challenging. There's a lot of gray in what I'm saying to you right now, and again, I don't want to do an extensive training on this because I don't want this to get too long. But you have to use your discretion for what's going to constitute a green, yellow, or red. Okay, so these are just some ideas and some examples to get your brain jogging, your brain thinking about your own personal situation, your own children, and how you could make this apply in your house. Amp it up, get it exciting for you and for them so that you guys can engage in it, okay? The days of the week would be so I have days of the week split up as morning and afternoon. Yes, sweetheart.
Okay. I want you to.
What?
I want you to take my pants off.
Oh, do you have to go potty?
Yeah.
Okay, go sit on your potty. Go sit on your froggy potty.
No, I want you to take my
You want to take your shirt off? We're potty training.
What?
I said we're potty training. We're potty training, right? You go potty on your froggy potty?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Here you go. I'll take your shirt off. I'm not sure why you want to take your shirt off, but you pick and choose your battles. All right, go ahead and go potty on your froggy potty. So if they could have a yellow morning or even a red morning, then that would go down here. But then they could have a green day. I mean, a green PM. Okay. Okay. So if they have a hard morning, it's really important that you don't hold on to that emotionally through your interactions with them. And I know that can be really challenging. That's going to take us in a whole different conversation, so I'm not going to go down that road right now. But what I'm going to say, they do get the chance in the PM to redeem is to flip it around, okay? So they can't take away the red that's already been earned. It was earned, okay? But they can earn a green or a yellow. We want them to earn a green, right? That's what we're striving for. They can earn that in the PM. So their whole day isn't a wash. If the kid thinks their whole day is a wash because they had a hard morning, then you're going to have a hard rest of your day. You just are, right? So for them to feel like they can redeem themselves and begin to turn their behavior around, do you really want to focus on causing them to feel worse, like they can't redeem it, and therefore wind up having behaviors that demonstrate that? Or do you want them to begin to realize that, yes, I need to ask forgiveness, I need to apologize, I need to learn from my behavior choices up here. However, I don't need to continue to do that. I can make that, oh my gosh, body treat, body treat, body treat, body treat. Body dance, shake a booty. Let me get his body treat. So you're going to want to be sure, it's your choice, it's my recommendation that as you get older, make sure that if you choose to include, you want to pick it? Do you want to pick your potty treat? Okay. If you choose to include the poor choices, which I do as they get older, but I don't when they're younger. So kindergarten and younger, I do not. Second grade, probably first and second grade, I do. Okay. I just lost my train of thought. So make sure that you are able to give them time to turn their day around. Okay, give them hope, and not kind of hold it over their heads, unless. Okay, I'm not going to go in the gray areas. You can tell there's gray areas there, so use your discretion. You are mom or dad or whomever you are as their guardian, so you make that choice, okay? And then what I did was I would say a certain number. I forget the number, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so I think it was like you can't have more than 2 red, and I don't usually use the word can't, but so if you have 2 reds, then, 2 reds and a yellow or something like that, then you would not be able to pick, a reward out of the reward bag. At this point, it was a bag that we were using. So again, you have to use your discretion as far as what your expectations are for how many reds and yellows they're allowed to have or how many greens are expected in order for them to pick their reward out of the rewards bag. But at this point, we would do weekly. The rewards were picked out weekly. Okay. I have a naked potty training 2.5-year-old climbing on attempting to climb up here at the moment. So apologies. All right. So this is the last one I'm going to show you today. And I told you I would hold this up too. So actually I'll pull this closer once I finish this third one. Can you see it?
I can see it.
You can see it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You can see this is a bit different than the others. Again, they all have their similarities. So daily stickers are their good choices. Bonus stickers are great choices. So above and beyond. Think again stickers are poor choices. No, thank you.
No, you're nothing.
No en tu boca. Not in your
No.
mouth. Think again stickers are poor choices. And color of the day. So depending on how many they get for the day, then that would determine if they get a green, a yellow, or a red. And again, by the end of the week, I would add up how many greens they have, and that would determine if they're able to pick a reward out of the reward bag, which is typically filled with different things that they think, you know, are cool and exciting and fun, but they only get to pick out of it if they earn it. Okay, so this isn't something that's readily available to them all the time, because that would take away the excitement. It wouldn't feel like cool and novel, right? Okay. So I just want to show you how much more complex you can get, or specific you can get, by simply changing some of your cards here. Okay, so you can target specific behaviors by putting them the opposite. So if there's a behavior you don't want, you want to put the opposite of that behavior, so the behavior you do want on the card. Okay. Can you see it, or is it backwards? I remembered my personal space. This is a big one. My oldest has ADHD and often forgets her personal space. All right. I made a good choice without being asked. I love that one because it builds character, and they wind up looking to do kind things and make good choices and realize how their choices impact others without necessarily doing it for a reward, because they don't know when they'll get called out for it. They don't know if they're going to get rewarded for it. I actually don't use any of these right now. I use a tally system because the older two are able to do that. And so the tally system is kind of a combination of some of these pieces, like showing kindness. I can't even think off the top of my head. Helping with the dishes, setting the table. So there's chores thrown in there too. So throughout the day, like making good choices. So I have a tally sheet, and actually my middle one can earn 5 cents for each tally, and they can either cash in or they can pick out of the reward bag. It's their choice. And my older one gets 25 cents for each tally, and then again, she can either cash in her tallies and it's her choice when she wants to cash them in, or she can pick out of the reward bag. You have to get 10 tallies to pick out of the reward bag. So that's what I do right now. I don't use those right now. They've kind of all graduated out of these. And then this one is I helped clean the house. Right? So if your kiddos are having a hard time with helping to pick up their toys, for example, a great one would be I picked up my toys. Now, when you're this young at this first one, you don't need to be that specific. I mean, they're not reading yet, right? I would recommend things like this, a happy face or sad face, right? Good choice, whatever, okay? And that's what I would use for the younger ones. But as they get older and they can read and they can associate the behavior with the picture, then you can get a little bit more specific. So I focused really hard. Again, my oldest has ADHD, so if something's challenging for her historically, like having a hard time focusing on it when it's hard, has been something that we've been supporting her with, building that skill up. I cleaned my room. Okay. All right, so these are just some ideas that you can use. I follow directions super well, so I can listen with my whole body. Also, really awesome one. Okay, all clip art that you can find online. I tried my hardest. Great. These are just really good ones for like first, second, third graders. I help someone without being asked. Again, character building. I really like ones like that. Just a generic good job. Had a great day in school. This one I used because I used to make behavior charts also for my daughter, which she would take to school, and her teachers would fill that out. So I would look at that, and then that would determine if she had a great day at school, and that would go on there. I did what I was asked the first time, following instructions, right? So all super important. And the last one is I did not give up. I worked through something that was really hard for me. We want our kids to be able to build that kind of resiliency muscle. So that's a really important one too. I'm going to move this closer so you can get a better look at them. If you have any questions or something didn't make sense or you want me to expound upon something, just let me know. And I will be glad to do that for you. You can get creative with these, really creative. Like I added on here particular things that she was struggling with. So I added like, I can stop, I can think, I can use my focusing tools, I can breathe and count. So pulling in some of the tools that we were already practicing and making that a part of her chart. So I would encourage you to get creative with it, not be too rigid with the creation of it. Please don't try to copy these because it might not work out because my kids are different than your kids and that's normal. Plus, what is going to work for you as a parent is going to be different than what has worked for me. So just get creative, allow these to kind of jog your memories. And again, if you don't have a schedule, I highly recommend that you create one. And if you have questions about creating one, please let me know because the one video about scheduling is very brief. It is not at all in depth. So if there's certain areas you want me to go into greater depth with, I'd be happy to do so. All right, so make sure that you're targeting behaviors that you want. I'm just going to sum this up real fast. Make sure that you're targeting behaviors that you want your children to repeat, that you're focusing on those behaviors. If you find that you're yelling constantly about poor behavior choices, the more that you focus on rewarding these behaviors that you want to see keep happening, the positive behavior choices, the more you're going to see those happen. Okay? And so then the less you feel like you have to yell and get frustrated and things like that. All right, let me know how it goes.